Whoop-de-doo.
All right, everyone.
We're live.
Welcome to the UnNamed NASCAR podcast. I am your host for this week, Green Flag Studios. Here joining me is TNT Motorsports, Slow Motion, Prime Speed, and Orca Flop. Introduce yourselves, guys.
All right, who's first?
Yeah.
I'm Prime Speed. I do a lot of NASCAR memes. So go subscribe to me. I'll say hi. Hi. Go Friesen. Go Chastain. Go Larson.
All right.
What is up, guys? It is Orca Flop. This is my first time on the podcast. If any of you in the chat watch the Smoke 14 show, you know who I am. It's really cool to be on here with you guys. I've talked to Prime and Slow Motion. You guys convinced me to be on here, and I like interacting with the fans, so I thought I'd come on here and have some fun with you guys. So it's cool to be on here. If you don't know my channel, please go subscribe.
I'm updating the description. I'm gonna put all your channels down there. I just need to find your channel now, Mr. Orca.
Yes.
Let's go to your Twitter.
Oh, and if you guys want to know the drivers I'm cheering for, I guess Trucks, Moffitt and Natalie Decker, Xfinity, Christopher Bell, Cup, Truex, Blaney, Keselowski, and Suarez. They got 4 I cheer for every weekend.
All right, nice. Who's next?
I guess me. Slow Motion. I do random stuff on YouTube. I'm excited to be back on and can't wait to get into the podcast.
All right, saving the best for last. Ha ha ha. No, I'm just kidding. I'm TNT Motorsports Network. So far on my channel, I have NR 2003 of my dirt series. Kind of be with a small partnership with ND Designs. If you don't follow him on Twitter, I suggest doing so. Anyways, I actually rebranded it to the Dynamite Dirt Tour. That will be the first video, crossing my fingers, hopefully, should be up for that series on Thursday. I'm not going to guarantee anything right now because of work schedules and whatever. But yeah, I do that. I'm usually active on Twitter. I usually follow like the trucks, a lot of dirt racing and stuff like that in the Cup Series. As far as I do the dirt modifieds mainly with the short track Super Series and Super Dirt Car Series. Matt Shepard and Stuart Friesen are basically my top 2 guys. For the trucks, it's Stuart Friesen since he races at my local dirt track on Saturday nights. I don't really have a favorite in Xfinity, to be honest. And for the Cup Series, Jimmy is my number 1. And then my other 3, if I had to pick other favorites, it would have to be on my NASCAR fantasy team that I have with a few of my friends. That would be Byron, Larson, and Blaney.
TNT, I'll have to say this. You said Jimmy is your favorite. How do you feel about the way he won the Clash and then he wrecked Kyle Busch in that dual race?
All right. So for the Clash, I'm actually on his side about it, and I'm kind of glad him and Menard made up for it. I mean, do I like the way how it ended? No. I'd rather have Jimmy, race a little bit more cleaner. I mean, yes, he made an aggressive move to go for a win because, I mean, that day the weather was not playing into the racing favor. So, I mean, Jimmy was kind of playing a little aggressive, but I kind of do believe he could have gone away from Menard a little bit than what he gave him. But I'll give him that. I'll say that's kind of a racing incident. I'll side with Jimmy on that one. As far as the Kyle Busch incident, that was all Jimmy. I'm not gonna lie. That was straight up him, and I hate to say it.
Speaking of the Clash, let's throw in the duels too. What did you think about the choo-choo train that's plagued those 2 races?
That's just really boring racing. It has to be better for the 500, or else it's just going to be the Daytona 495 plus big one.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I updated the description, so either if it doesn't update for you all, go ahead and refresh the page. It should be up there with all of their channels in the description below.
I didn't even have to refresh; it just showed up.
Oh,
Yeah, it just showed up for me too.
Yeah, same.
okay.
GFS works some magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Misdirection.
Yeah, literally in the clash and duels. I mean, I'll admit, I get it. They don't want to tear up their cars, but like, there needs to be they need to understand that waiting until the white flag almost always never works.
Yeah, and you saw the Xfinity race. That was an actual race, and nobody could really do anything, even on the final lap.
I mean, let's hold off on the Xfinity race for now. Now let's go on to the the crash trucks.
Oh
Yeah.
my god,
Oh yeah.
God.
that was actually a good race. Not gonna lie,
Not
Friesen
9
had me
people
feeling
survived.
everything possible.
Oh my God, Friesen trying to make that third line work. Man, he was.
It was just like last year with Friesen.
The funniest part of the truck race is it was probably going to be the biggest shit show, and depending on the 500 goes, it's probably still going to be the best race of the weekend, even if it was a shit show.
Yeah.
What a debut for Natalie Decker. She went up in flames.
I mean, that 54 truck is so cursed.
And dare I
It
say,
wrecked so many times last year.
that's a very hot take, but people judging that, saying that she doesn't deserve to ride, and saying this is exactly why, they are complete idiots. Literally, she had no control over that.
See, here's my deal. She can run part-time in trucks. Okay, I'll give her the credit. If she's given the opportunity, why not freaking take it? But stay another full season in ARCA, because she didn't even win a race in ARCA, and I don't even think she was even that competitive in ARCA last year. I mean, this year she might be, but
Yeah, in ARCA, she was actually, Nick can correct me, she was the technical worst of the full-time drivers. She finished 7th out of 7 full-time drivers.
yeah.
Yeah, but she got top 10 in points.
True.
Yeah.
Well, but there's
I'm
only
a
7
Natalie Decker fan,
full-time cars.
so
Let's go ahead and also address the elephant in the room for the trucks race. The big one and the abysmal placing a commercial by Fox.
I mean, they put this side by side for when both of the big ones happened. That's pretty much what you need to know about that.
I mean,
It's just like, oh, the big one happened. Oh, let's just put this Campbell on the screen.
I'll just simply say this. Of course, the big one happening. I'm fine with that, but literally, I was told, Jordan Anderson didn't put his window net down, and then you see Jordan Anderson's like laying down, sitting down, yet they're still playing the commercials. I'm like, and you can easily tell from my Twitter if you follow me, I was kind of heated at Fox for that.
Oh my god, you were. It was not even a joke. I like Goki. That 54 car was on fire on Friday.
Yeah, literally, I just let Fox have it because they just, for one, they placed they placed the commercial abysmally. First off, then they didn't cut back when someone could have possibly been injured, and let's also talk about what caused the wreck mainly. Goodyear's tires, they failed. A lot of them failed, and that caused a lot of problems in the race.
no surprise. I'm not surprised one bit. If there's one thing I think NASCAR does need to change that I wouldn't mind changing, maybe it might not be towards tradition. The old school fans might hate it, but we really need a new tire manufacturer. It seems like for the past 3 decades, or no, just within the last decade, it seems as though Goodyear has had an inconsistent basis of bringing bad tires to the track. That being said, I think that's caused a lot of tire failures. I think one race I want to point out in particular is 2018 Spring Texas race. That race had so many tire failures.
God.
It was unbelievable. And Kyle Busch mentioned ever since 2010 that Goodyear has not brought in good tires. And Goodyear has had a consistent basis on tires blowing even with repaved tracks and causing massive wrecks and could be an endangerment to the drivers.
Well, you saw
done a terrible job at bringing good tires to the track. And I think, honestly, in the 90s, we had a tire war between Goodyear and Hoosier. And Hoosier, I think, should have won because they seemed to bring good tires. But I think the reason Goodyear won is because they wanted to stick to tradition.
Yeah.
tire
Hoosier
manufacturers.
actually lost because Goodyear threatened essentially to put stores right next to Hoosier locations. That would have put Hoosier out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember like the 2017 Daytona 500, the Kyle Busch wreck.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hoosier has some good tires though, because I mean they're more specifically good with dirt and a lot of and they are good tires. I mean, there's some big dirt car events. I'll go for the Northeast Modifieds. They run the Super Dirt Car Series. Their primary tire is Hoosier, and they have some. They go 100 laps for 95% of their races, and there's a Super Dirt Week championship race. They go 200 laps, and a lot of the dirt drivers and these don't even have to make a pit stop after 100 laps, and let alone on this 200 lapper. I think there was one driver last year who went like, I think it was like 110, 115 laps without even making a pit stop and changing tires. So I think Hoosier could be a good way to go if Goodyear had to leave.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many other options for tire manufacturers. I don't know if you guys keep track of IMSA. Maybe slow motion.
Nick mentioned the Indy race in 2008. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I do.
Yeah, for those of you that keep track of IMSA, you know that Michelin became the primary tire manufacturer because Continental left. Boy, they brought a
Yeah.
fantastic tire to the Rolex 24. They were slim to no tire failures. There were only like two, but that was like contact with the wall or another car in the DPI class. They brought a great tire to the Rolex 24, and there were, again, slim to none tire failures in all four classes of IMSA. That means DPI, LMP2, GTLM, and GTD. They were literally basically no tire failures, and it was mainly on the drivers to maintain their car's speed with tires and tire wear. They brought a fantastic tire to the Rolex. If they were to bring a tire to NASCAR, I think Michelin would do what they are doing with IMSA. They bring consistent tires depending on the climate, the condition of the track. If it's going to be slick or cool. I think Michelin has done a fantastic job at managing those types of conditions for their tires. And I think Michelin would be a perfect tire manufacturer to come into NASCAR.
Speaking of tires, I want to talk about a track that is notorious for absolutely destroying tires, Atlanta Motor Speedway. Dare I say, I'm going to say a hot take here. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree. It's time to repave Atlanta.
I agree.
No.
Yes and no.
Yeah, both.
I don't think I'd like that, actually.
I'm going to tell you why I think so. You know, people always say, it proves driver skill and everything. And literally, eats up tires. It shows exactly what you have to do to conserve your tires. But the last 3 years, it's been the Harvick show, and the racing has gotten extremely stale. In my opinion, racing got so stale because you can hardly use the high line anymore because that just decimates your tires instantly.
True, because there's so much asphalt on top, and that seems to be where the track has won more, and that's why guys like Harvick are able to stick to the bottom better. Because, at most, you're going to be able to run the top about, 10 laps consistently. Because last year, Bowman went from 19th to 8th and then dropped back to nowhere. So, even with this new aero package, I don't even think the pavement's really going to affect. I mean, it's still going to affect that much, but you're not going to really have to take much skill. So, in that regard, maybe we should repave it. But at the same time, I don't think we should repave it because at the same time, though, you're probably going to still have more off-throttle time because of the bumpiness of the track, and that brings good racing. So, I don't know. It's pick and choose. I'm kind of indifferent with that, and so it depends on how NASCAR is going to go with the cars, mainly, if you ask me.
No, so anything else you want to say about Atlanta before I move on to actually go back to Daytona to mention something else?
I think Orca's pretty much said what I was going to.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now for Daytona, speaking of the truck series, for one, it's a record-setting race and everything, but how about Austin Hill in his first start with Hattori? Is it sweet or more bittersweet to you?
I think it's sweet because I think Austin Hill has been a driver who a lot of people have overlooked, and for whatever reason, people got really upset when he was announced to go to Hattori. When he was driving for Young Motorsports, people kind of forget that Austin Hill finished top 15 in points for that equipment. And it seems like Austin Hill consistently ran in the top 15 as well, and even a top 10 run as well for that truck.
Yeah, I think actually he finished like 11th in points, 12th in points.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And he was really good. And I think a lot of people kind of overlooked him because, he's a small team driver. And people think, oh, he's bringing United Rental sponsorship. Obviously, he's a paid driver. He's a paid driver in a sense that he has talent, though. Like, he's one of the rare paid drivers, similar to Ryan Blaney, that actually comes out and has talent. So, I think, to be honest with you, I really think Austin Hill gets a lot more hate than he deserves. And honestly, I think that with that whole race, Austin Hill was consistently up front, making the right blocks and moves to win that race. So if you ask me, I think it was a pretty deserving win by Austin Hill. And it shows how much talent Austin Hill has behind the wheel. And I think it's going to be even interesting to see how he does at Atlanta.
And Prime Speed just looks like he left.
Yep.
Oopsie. It's an oopsie.
Yeah, do you really think Tyler Dipple's going to do anything in that 02 truck? No. Like, anything more than what Austin Hill did.
It's going to be interesting to see what Young's Motorsports is going to do. They have 3 rookies this year, so Gustine, yeah, he did all right in ARCA. Spencer Boyd, we saw what he can do in Xfinity for a low team. Tyler Dipple, question mark, because I don't really know much of him, so.
Okay. And dare I say, of course, I understand, Hattori needed funds and everything from a sponsor. But in my honest opinion, I believe that, to me, it's scummy, really. But because they did just fine, essentially, last year. They pieced sponsorship together throughout the season and ended up winning the championship. But I understand, it's a bit stressful to actually have to look for sponsorship throughout the season and everything. It's bittersweet to me. Hill deserved to win, definitely. But, man, being honest, I was rooting for Crafton to get the win at the end because he was looking to end a long winless streak. And that block, while it was good, I'm like, that's really a big way to get yourself turned. In that one block, it was with 2 to go, the restart. Crafton got a hell of a run and got blocked so hard. I'm surprised he didn't just straight up dump Hill for it.
I think Crafton's not that type of driver, though. He's not like Austin Dillon. Wait, what? People are going to get angry at that for me, but I look over that finish every time, and I still think he dumped him. So,
I mean, for sure, Austin Dillon did dump him for the win.
That's not good racing to me.
It's not really good racing at all. Dale Earnhardt Sr. did it before in an IROC race. Oh, his internet just died. Oh, no.
Actually,
no.
I think, who was that? Al Unser Jr. that came up on Dale Earnhardt? It was either Al Unser Jr. or Rick Mears. He came right up onto Earnhardt, so it really wasn't Earnhardt's fault. I think that's where people
Earnhardt still kind of turned him for that bad block.
Yeah, but at the same time though, Earnhardt just wouldn't wreck every chance he gets. Yeah, sure, he dumped Terry Labonte in 1996, and people say, well, you wouldn't have complained if Earnhardt did it. Actually, there's a lot of things Dale Earnhardt did that I in particular didn't like. So it's I remember a lot of fans actually didn't like what Earnhardt did. So I hate when people bring that argument up into the equation.
And for me, literally, I probably wouldn't have liked Earnhardt at all. I wasn't really alive. I was 2 when he passed away. I wouldn't have liked him because, his personal things, for one, he really wasn't that good of a father to Junior. And he kind of wasn't that good of a person to his competitors sometimes.
Yeah.
Mainly Mark Martin. He made fun of Mark's alcoholism, and that would have not sat well today. But he's passed away. I'll give him, the respect as a champion and everything. Just, I wouldn't have liked him had he survived and I had grown to actually watch him race and such.
Like, I respect Earnhardt for the accomplishments he made, but, like, making fun of Mark Martin and some of the stuff he did, I didn't really care for. I'm an Alan Kulwicki fan that's my favorite old driver, so, because I'm kind of an underdog fan, and I just feel as though Dale Earnhardt had more controversial stuff going for him.
Yeah. Speaking of Kulwicki, I want to ask you something, Orko. Do you think it's fitting that Alan Kulwicki is now a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely. He is one of the most idling and remarkable drivers in the sport for the main reason of he did what no one else has really been able to do in the Cup Series in a while. That's why Furniture Row Racing got advocated a lot, because Alan Kulwicki believed that underdogs can do anything if they put the work to it. One thing I like about Alan Kulwicki is just the whole story of him never giving up. He grew up in a poor family, may I remind you. He was literally poor and broke. He was not nowhere near rich. He built his own stock cars. He built his own engines. He made his own chassis. And he was able to do all of that while literally paying an arm and a leg to go out there. And Alan Kulwicki had so much talent, he was starting to get top 15 finishes. And then he eventually won at Pocono in 1988. And then continuously, he got to win the AC Delco 500 in 1990. 1991, I believe he won the night race. And then 1992, he went on a tear winning Pocono. He won Pocono, the Bristol Spring race, the night race. I believe he got 3 wins that season. And then he won the championship in 92. And, they called him the Underbird because in the Richmond race, he scratched off the TH on the Thunderbird logo. And the underdog that was Alan Kulwicki. Because obviously everyone knew back then that Bill Elliott was your favorite. He was in better equipment, and no one really thought Alan Kulwicki could pull it off. But Alan Kulwicki was such a talented driver. He could wheel a car like that, and he could put it in championship contention. I think Alan Kulwicki is such an inspiration to so many underdogs because he took bad equipment, found sponsorship from the success he got with Xerox Motor Oil being his previous sponsor, and he was able to get that Hooter sponsorship, so it helped him fund his cars and get him better. And literally, Alan Kulwicki started from scratch and won races. It's unbelievable how talented he was and what he could do with bad equipment. And I think that really inspired a lot of teams like Furniture Row Racing and Levine Family Racing. Because Furniture Row, I've always liked Martin Truex Jr. since I became a NASCAR fan. Because I always thought he was a rootful underdog. He wasn't that great, but, he would show that with that equipment he could perform with MWR, and even DEI was getting pretty bad for the time.
Yeah.
So, and I also like Brad Keselowski because he proved everyone else wrong. And, I'm just one that really advocates small teams and underdogs. And I think Alan Kulwicki, and one of my favorite quotes from him: "If you don't believe, you don't belong." You have to have the passion and dedication to start from nothing to something. I think that's why I love Kulwicki.
Yeah, you're right, and I have to ask you something, Orca. Would you consider Chastain as an underdog?
Yes, I would, because he probably would have torn up the Xfinity Series had he been with Ganassi.
Yeah.
And even still, Chastain literally lives up to Kulwicki's quote: "If you don't believe, you don't belong." Because Ross Chastain, he's called the watermelon farmer, and he's able to take that JD Motorsports number 4 and even Colleague Racing number 10 and put it into contention every single week. It's unbelievable what Ross Chastain can do, and I think him and Christopher Bell are going to be my 2 favorite Xfinity drivers this season. I'm really starting to become a Ross Chastain fan.
Yeah, I really became a huge fan of him last year, and
I really started paying attention to Ross Chastain in 2016, but I wasn't like a big fan of him. But I started to like him, and I think he's going to be one.
Yeah, I noticed him in trucks,
but
now I really notice him.
I've liked him for a while since he's from Florida and I'm from Florida, so.
Again, I started noticing him in 2016 when he really started performing well, and he did really good in 2017. Did well in obviously 2018 he got the win with Ganassi and the opportunity, and he just resembles Alan Kulwicki so much. It's why I like him.
Yeah.
Like in those like 3 or 4 races with Chip Ganassi, he won like all but like 1 or 2 of the stages and finished like top 2 or 3 every time except for when he wrecked.
Yeah, he won the first 2 stages in Darlington. They got
Yeah.
wrecked by Harvick. He swept all 3 stages in Vegas, and then I don't think he won a stage at Richmond, but he did finish second to Christopher Bell.
Yeah,
Good riddance, Kevin Harvick.
he finished second in that race. But he ended Kevin Harvick's Xfinity career.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you did.
Yeah.
No one wants another Leach in the field.
I wonder, with Kyle Busch, announcing his races in the truck series, Brandon Jones and Christian Eckes are actually going to be in that truck too. Do you think Jones and Eckes will step up their performance in Kyle Busch's truck?
Wait, so are you asking me if Brandon Jones will step up his performance? Because that's a definite no.
I mean, in Kyle Busch's truck.
Yeah, no.
No.
Brandon Jones has no chance. The only reason he did well today and got third was because he had lucky pushes.
Because he just sat in the train the whole time. And
he literally didn't even do anything at the last part.
Speaking of
all got push up to a net, it would have been interesting. But
The only
really,
reason
Brandon Jones just sat there and did nothing, and that goes for Cinder.
Speaking of today, let's go stage by stage for this. Stage 1, Earnhardt's on the pole for this race. And then choo-choo. Choo-choo.
That race was terrible.
Stage 1, give me
the best part of the entire race was that like thing with Brad Keselowski's car, where like his car became a convertible.
That was funny.
He had a built-in sunroof.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The funny thing is, most Mustang convertibles are V6s, not V8s.
But I'm going to say the best part of Stage 1 was it was the last lap of Stage 1. Haley and Chastain pulled off a beautiful, sexy pass on Earnhardt to win the stage.
Very sexy.
If only Justin Haley never got that damage from Greg Alding.
Yeah.
He would have won.
And Chastain won Stage 2, but granted, then they just literally rode for the entirety of Stage 2.
Yeah.
It was better in the beginning of Stage 2, but then they decided choo-choo is the best.
I like
don't
Michael on
think
that,
I've
but that was
ever
just such a
cheered.
boring way to win.
I don't think I've ever cheered for a Leach ever, but the race was so boring. I was entertained to see Chase Elliott making moves. That's how boring it was. I was literally entertained to see a Leach making moves.
I mean, literally at the end of the race, and that's out front doing what he needs to do. Allgaier is riding behind him, and then teammates Elliott and Gregson, they're stuck in the back because they can't make moves, and people are too scared to make a move. I'm like, I was complaining the whole time about the choo-choo train. Being honest, I know the package and everything is slightly different. The cars are the composite bodies now. They're a bit different, but I was still angry because, they claim to be, top-notch racers, yet they are just content with riding in a train on the high line. And if one person decides to make a move, they're like, oh, no, I'm too scared to make a move with you. So you get to go to the back of the field and try all over again. And
I don't like Noah Gregson, but at least he was making moves. I don't like Tyler Reddick. At least he was making moves.
Yeah. And another thing I want to complain about. The horrible placement of the commercials.
Oh, Fox, you're still terrible.
Exactly. They were like side by side for the lead, and then boom, commercial.
No, but
NBC
I
has
noticed
earned
at the beginning of the race. I noticed at the beginning of the race in the Xfinity race, Fox every 8 laps till like the end of Stage 1. They had like it's like lap 8, lap 16, lap 24. I tweeted it out, so.
I mean, literally, I still wonder, how they managed to somehow be the higher rated network when they are the worst broadcasters. They literally stopped caring, essentially, because they have Larry Mack in a virtual studio in Charlotte. They broadcast truck races from Charlotte, well, some of them. And they essentially, they even made a horrible camera behind the fence on the backstretch.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Oh my god.
It looked like the camera went to jail. I mean, he's just showing the.
I was like,
Like
That was
NBC had
really
that camera, and it
People
was pretty
say
good.
NBC is better. Honestly, I think they're both terrible. Both NBC.
At least with NBC,
actually,
you get,
I
like,
used to
memes.
really bash NBC, But now I do think maybe NBC is a little bit better because they actually care about motorsports. But commentator-wise, I can't either. Annoying.
Fox
Like I think
Fox should
overall
have had
quality.
Larry McReynolds stay in the booth. That would have helped him get a lot better.
Get rid
Um,
of Darrell Waltrip.
Agreed.
He's had his time. He doesn't know anything about the Gen 6 car. There's no reason for him to be there. I don't know why he's still there. I don't even know what to say by Fox's judgment because at least with Larry McReynolds, he put really good input. Like literally, he explained the car so well, anyone could understand it.
yeah.
It's amazing how Larry McReynolds is so smart, but he's not in the primary booth. I don't get it.
We put Jeff Gordon in there, and I like Jeff Gordon as a driver, but
I like Jeff Gordon as a commentator.
he's just
If
like,
anything, if
whoa,
they're gonna bring
guys,
Larry-
look at this. This is some hard racing, these guys.
Let's try putting together Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, and Larry McReynolds as broadcasters for NASCAR the entire year. See how far that gets.
I think one of Fox's biggest problems that they had with that race being broadcasted is that they didn't show any battling in the back. There were a lot of battles in the back with the smaller teams trying to finish at least top 20 or top 15.
I'm back.
I think had they shown that, I think it would have been less painful to watch.
Catch me up on
Because
what
literally
you
the
talked about.
entire race, they were basically showing Michael Annett, Allgaier, and Brandon Jones running up front. The fact that Brandon Jones finished third is the reason the world is going to end in 5 years.
Okay, I'm back, guys. Can you catch me up on what you all talked about?
Fox sucks.
Okay, I can understand that. But yeah, literally, in the end, I don't know who led the most laps in the race. But
they did get that new like whole studio thing, and that looks pretty good.
I like it, but you know, it's
the new
just
people
really,
they fired.
I like the look of it, but it just doesn't feel like.
It feels more like of the NFL halftime report. Again,
it does feel like that.
NASCAR to stick and ball sports. In fact, it literally makes me throw stuff when people do it. But I feel like that's the narrative NASCAR tries to go to. Still, even without Brian.
I think that's just how they want to do sports coverage. You know.
No, because a little bit off topic here, but did anyone see the Formula E race on Fox Sports 2 right after the Xfinity race? That race was fantastic.
I don't have Fox Sports 2.
I didn't see that.
Okay, well, the finish was fantastic. It was beating and banging in Formula E cars, and it was a side-by-side finish, dragging against the wall at the end. It was a photo finish.
That sounds a lot better than the Xfinity race.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was between a Nissan and an Audi, and they were going right at it side-by-side, and it was a photo finish up against the wall. It was amazing.
With KSI
It was
commentating.
so entertaining. And that race was, guess what? Guess how long that race was?
How long?
35 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah.
It?
35 minutes of pure entertainment. No joke. They were literally side by side, battling for every position the whole time. And we had an awesome photo finish in the end. It was so good. It's amazing how 35 minutes of a Formula E race entertained me more than a 2-hour Xfinity race.
Dare say, I want to touch on the Xfinity race because I've watched it in its entirety. I want to say, you may disagree with me, but I'm actually happy that Michael Annett won. Redemption at the track where he got injured pretty badly.
I find it hilarious. Last year, he got so much hatred and crap thrown at him. All of a sudden, he wins the first race of the freaking season. And it's the same exact team as he had last year, right?
I actually kind of see what Kazi was talking about. And to be honest with you, I kind of defend Michael Annett now because if you ask me, Michael Annett sort of got treated the same way Suarez did at Joe Gibbs Racing. He really didn't have a good crew chief, nor was that 5-car really well prepped. He steps into Elliott Sadler's equipment, gets a new crew chief, Travis Mack.
It's the same equipment as he had before.
I thought Annett had the same equipment, but I thought they just did.
Oh, I thought he got.
You got a better crew chief. That's really what it was.
They switched like the 9 to the 8, and then they put Gregson in the 9, and they put Annett in the 1.
Yeah, you see right here in the comments, Nick said, Annette got all his top 10s last year with Travis Mack atop the box.
Nick
Travis
Stant on the
Mack is a great
money.
crew chief, and I think Kamikaze was right. You switch Annette's crew chief, you're gonna get better results. You got
It's kind of like Trix and Pern. Without Pern, Trix is nothing.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
I wouldn't say
True.
that exactly.
Now, I'm gonna say because at Furniture Row in 2014, Trix did
Well,
awful.
didn't he drive Chevy that year?
Yeah, and in 2015, still
Yeah.
Chevy with Pern atop the box.
Everyone knows.
And then, yeah, and then
I
he made it to
don't.
the Final
Well,
Four.
actually, now to think about it, I might have to agree with Orca. I don't think it's just Cole Pern. I think the alliance with JGR kind of helped in that aspect too.
I mean, the alliance with JGR helped too, but I'm going to mainly point out his 2014 and 2015 seasons. 2014 god awful. 2015 got Pern atop the box, won Pocono, and got to the Final Four.
You gotta remember,
Yeah.
Truex got a win with Michael Waltrip Racing and DEI. Truex
Yeah,
was
total
never a
wins.
bad driver,
Yeah.
and he's had good races. Just that back then he was kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
So,
It seems like every team that Truex ends up on just dies.
like 2012, he made the chase. He did well that season,
Uh-oh.
and then 2013 he got screwed by Spingate. So
Yeah, what's
Wait, now that
actually supposed to help him?
now that he's on Joe Gibbs, will Joe Gibbs die?
No.
Mm,
No,
Yeah.
okay.
And dare I say, I'm going to be honest, and you might agree with me. Every race Truex kind of won with Furniture Row, it was not that good of a races.
yeah, it kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Hard to be
2016
a
Coca-Cola
Truex fan when
600,
all the races he wins are bad races.
the 2016 Coca-Cola 600, I'm going to be honest, was one of the worst races I ever saw.
I mean, he dominated so well in that
even-
race, but it was still like a really boring race.
Even
Even
me being
this
a
year's
Truex
Coke
fan,
600 was kind of boring.
I even admitted that the 2017 2018 Kentucky races were absolute crap. The only
They
thing
were.
I liked was that Truex won. That was it.
I mean, literally, 2017's mile and a half races are not that good. The only one I can kind of get behind was the Coca-Cola 600 that year. It was actually kind of decent from what I remember. It was got you on your seat at the end watching whichever Johnson or Dillon runs out of fuel.
Yeah, the fuel strategy in 2017 for the Coke 600.
Yeah, that was a good race. Fuel
Oh,
strategy,
and
but I
especially
don't
the
think
radioactive.
overall it was that
Especially
good.
the radioactive after that one. Kyle Busch.
However, I still think that year, the 2017 Indy 500 was one of the best IndyCar races I watched. Not because Scott Dixon crashed and there was a big one, but because overall in that race, there were great races.
Yeah, that was a good race.
Yeah, that was an
overall.
amazing race.
Also, by the way, this is completely off topic, but I saw yesterday, or day before, a video from the NASCAR YouTube channel. Daytona 500, sweet victory.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw
That
that.
was
I
amazing.
saw that.
They did a
Amazing.
good job with that one.
And people in the comments were praising NASCAR for that.
So we talked about the Xfinity Series. How about we talk about the social media reaction?
Yeah, the social media reaction. I'm gonna be honest. Let's see. People were always saying, boo, train wreck. Train wreck. Freight
That's
train
what the Truck
racing.
Series race
Choo-choo
was.
train.
The toot train is bad racing, and I'm like, literally, it's been single file racing before. Speaking of, in 2003, July 4th, 2003 to be precise, the Winn-Dixie 250, presented by PepsiCo, Dale Earnhardt Jr. started on the pole and led every single lap.
The funny thing is, people say, like, oh, yeah. You guys
Well,
need to stop
people didn't
complaining
like it.
about that kind
People
of
probably
racing.
didn't like it then either, but they didn't have Twitter to go and talk about it,
And
True.
the other thing is that at least with 2003 and back then, sure, Dale Jr. led every lap, but with the Gen 4 car, it was a lot easier to make a move without being afraid. So
Yeah.
True. Let's see.
So it's like it wasn't as bad as it is now because now literally the cars are so crappy. Drivers are now afraid to make a move. Like in
Tell me this.
2003 Daytona 500, when Tony Stewart was leading for a little bit, drivers were able to make moves on him because the Gen 4 car you could pull out and get a huge run and make your own moves. So drivers weren't as afraid to be gutsy back then as they are now. So that's why the single file freight trains weren't nearly as bad as they are now. And I hate when people use that excuse. It's like, well, they did this back then. Back then was totally different when they did do it.
It is kind of the cars. I mean,
can I ask? You say it was easier to make moves back then. If it was so easier to make moves, why did Junior lead every single lap of that race?
Because Dale Jr. has literally got it play tracks. It was so hard.
And it was 2003, so that team was like so good then. But
DPI's Xfinity program was basically gone in 2003.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous how good they were. It was only 2 years after Barnhart died. And sadly, 2003 was the last year of the Winston Cup format. So.
Yeah. And then it was kind of an anticlimactic end with it being clinched a race before. But that's a topic for later.
That's pretty much why they changed it to the chase.
And literally, there was this one guy on Twitter. I was arguing with this guy on Twitter. He said, this point system is gimmicky and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to see, I said, this points format itself is fine. Just have no playoffs and make wins matter more. And he said, but consistency should matter more. I'm like, yeah, literally. How about no? Literally, wins need to matter more. If we want better racing, we need to have drivers willing to do whatever it takes to win.
I mean,
all right, the point. I'm going to talk about the point system, and then I'm going to kind of mention the same thing that I said last week too. I'm like this point system, playoff format, however the flying French you want to put it. I guess like I'm okay with the stages, and the playoffs actually kind of make more sense now that you have stages and there's one extra playoff point thrown into the mix instead of the chase where you only get bonus points based on race wins, and now you got like these stages kind of actually mattering a little bit. But like I said before, I don't like this winning you're in crap. Just make it the top 16 in points. Kind of make it so that every kind of fan has something to look forward to. Like the regular, just be top 16 in points. Doesn't matter if they want a race or not. I don't give a flying shiznit or whatever. And then during the playoffs, do your win and move on business to keep your drama and keep your, I guess, younger generation, whatever you want to call it.
No.
The hype or whatever. But I mean, got to do something. I don't like this winning you're in crap. Oh, you can win the Daytona 500. Bam, you're locked into the playoffs. Why?
All right. I'd like to say something. I saw Nick put in the chat 2005 Pepsi 400. Tony led like 151 out of 160 laps. I just searched that race up on YouTube. I'm watching it right now with 16 to go. And Tony's out in front, but like everyone behind him is like double file, 3 wide. So like there was still good racing in that race. It wasn't like it was just him dominating the whole thing in a train.
You see, if they don't want to go for a Winston Cup format, I think we shouldn't talk about the points too much until the playoffs probably start. But I'll say this much. I'm a big advocate of the Winston Cup format because it's the most legitimate format and it proves who is the best over the course of the entire season. But if NASCAR wants to be a little bit gimmicky, I think what they should do is make it basically like the Winston Cup format, but at the end of the race or at the end of the season, take the top 4 drivers, call it the Final 4, be like, oh yeah, these 4 drivers can run for the championship. Maybe promote it as the Final 4. And whichever one of the final 4 that they promote has the most points in the end.
If it's like this year where there's like 3, if there's like 3 really good drivers, and then there's like Joey Logano, and all 4 of them get to race for a championship, would you want like something like that?
Yes, I like literally get rid of the winning you're in, get rid of the stupid playoffs, the stupid NFL, NCAA gimmicky wannabe format. Get rid of that. If you want to make it a little bit gimmicky, make it basically like the Winston Cup format, but then maybe take the last 4 drivers and have them shoot it out for a championship. That would be a pretty good format, if you ask me.
I think they should get rid of the whole Final 4 thing, because if you're like dominating the entire season and then you like crash the final race, you lose the championship. So.
I don't like the Final 4 thing either, but I'm just saying take the top 4 out of the most consistent points throughout the whole season, and maybe have them shoot out for a championship.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if anything, the playoff format that worked the best was the one, 2004 to 2013. The final 10 races, top
Yeah, that
10,
wasn't
top
bad
12
format.
guys.
So that was
Yeah.
not a bad
Yeah, that worked
format.
perfect.
But then 2014 rolled around, and
They just said, oh, we need to be more like the NFL. Eliminations, win and you're in.
I
Now,
think,
Game 7 moments.
I
over
think
the
they should have
but I
the
really think NASCAR fans today are very misguided on how real racing works because they've succumbed to this playoff format and succumbed to it being more like the NFL and the NBA. And I think this is why we get the stick and ball sport references. Because if you're a motorsports advocate overall, like I am, and I know some of you are as well, but I'm just saying there's misguided fans out there, Eric stuff. What? There's misguided fans out there that just compare NASCAR to a stick and ball sport and forget that this is racing. It's its own thing. Let NASCAR be its own thing. Like IndyCar, IMSA,
and
F1.
and I'll hear the announcers they'll say stuff like when they're explaining those pit road penalties, so make it sound like they're like reviewing like a touchdown or something, or like some penalty.
And I should have for the Homestead race went to NBCSN because you had Lee Diffie and Dale Jarrett, two mainly motorsports advocates.
Yeah.
Not stick and ball sport, whatever. I think that's why I should have switched to that channel, but for whatever reason I didn't. Maybe because I wanted to get NASCAR the best TV ratings on it.
Now, speaking of broadcasters, there's something I want to bring up. In the Clash, when Johnson, misjudged and wrecked Menard and the entire field, what'd you think of Gordon's blatant bias in trying to defend Johnson?
I think it's just
That was
him
pathetic.
being his
That was
former
funny.
teammate and friend, just sticking up for him, trying to make Johnson look good, I guess. I don't know.
I think I kind of felt bad for Jeff Gordon, to be totally honest with you, because it seemed like literally he could get sued if he said either thing. So he tried to even it out as fairly as possible, probably, so he wouldn't get sued either by Hendrick or by Fox Sports. Because you got to remember, he owns that 48 car. He wouldn't want to try to make Jimmy look bad on Hendrick because then he'd probably get sued and maybe even kicked off. So,
I mean,
Well,
but
here's
then
the other
whole
thing.
issue of NASCAR shoving things down drivers' throats, and so it's one of those.
The other thing is you got to think of it this way because you got to remember Gordon and Hendrick are in talks where if Hendrick were to step down from owning Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Gordon could possibly be the guy to take
Yeah,
over.
Jeff Gordon would take his place.
And I think if he did that, he'd probably actually step down from broadcasting to focus on running Hendrick Motorsports. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you
I
can't
would,
really.
I think so, yeah, because I don't think you can do both.
And maybe then Larry McReynolds would end up back in the booth, and Fox will become great again.
That's why Junior doesn't commentate Xfinity races because of Junior Motorsports.
But yeah, we've talked about Xfinity and trucks.
No, I think Junior
pretty
does
brutal
do some
battle
of it.
happened on Twitter.
Not all of them, though.
Okay, let Orca talk here.
All right.
I wanted to mention this real quick. A big battle happened on Twitter today after the Xfinity race between two top motorsports YouTubers, David Land and Eric Estep, or Doubly Dud. Basically, what happened was David Land tweeted how he felt that the Xfinity Series had an aerodynamic problem, which is why drivers were afraid to make moves. And granted, I don't think we can really disagree with him because the cars now do suck. But at the same time, he's right on that. He said it his opinion. Eric Estep retweeted saying that it was more of a driver issue, and maybe if he opened his eyes a little more, he could see more positivity in NASCAR. Basically insulting David Land, telling him that he's an annoying troll, basically, is what Eric was trying to input.
I want to say for that, I interpret it as, open your eyes, try to find something else positive rather than just simply focusing on the negative. But that's just my own opinion on it, really. Go on, Orca.
And then David Land retweeted, it's like, okay, why would a driver rally go for a stage win than a race win? You're living in a bizarre world. And then they started insulting each other brutally, and it got out of hand to where a lot of people, like Affleck Cup Series, me, a lot of other big YouTubers got off Twitter because the battle was getting so heated, everyone was getting dragged into it. If any of you have Twitter, this was probably one of the most trending things in the NASCAR community, the battle between David Land and Eric Estep. And David Land also said on his Twitter page, and the tweet might not be available now because of probably the unnecessarily backlash he got, he said he was never going to be on the weekly podcast again because of the instance between him and Eric today. And this is a pretty big impact on the NASCAR community because literally Eric and David are on perpendicular opposites when it comes to being a racing fan. I'm personally more like David Land. I don't like to see big wrecks. I don't like to see drivers' cars get torn up and spending costs go up because of it. I don't like to see freight trains, but at the same time, I'm going to criticize it because I don't like it. But I'm also going to come up with something that I think could work. That's what David Land has been doing. And I think it's pretty immature for Eric to go out there and just insult David Land like that because he said an opinion. That's how I feel on the end of the argument. But in terms of what they were arguing about, honestly, I thought it was a bit of both. They did change the cars, like Brian Keselowski said on his Twitter. So in that sense, it was an aerodynamic problem. But at the same time, I think the drivers could have tried a little harder. So I'm on both sides in that case. But in terms of who's more mature, I think David Land is way more mature and just overall constructive than Eric. That's my end of the spectrum. I don't want to fight, but I'm just saying, like, that's how I feel. And I think everyone should respect each other's opinions. And I think this fight is really bad for the NASCAR community, and it's bringing on a bad look.
Yeah.
If you guys have anything to say,
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you got problems, problems with each other, of course, they probably, I could just imagine it, forgive me for saying, it's basically a proverbial dick measuring contest. That's essentially what I can see the fight as. It was useless because, they're one of the biggest personalities in motorsports YouTube community. Eric for NASCAR and David Land for more than just NASCAR, such as IndyCar and F1. And to see two essential juggernauts just fighting it out over some just stupid proverbial reason as to why a race is utter garbage, it's just putting a black eye on the YouTube community, the NASCAR YouTube community, that is.
it caused a big divide. And I think that fight, a lot of people were talking about it. Affleck tweeted about it. He even mentioned how he's going to get off Twitter for a while until things settle down. Because the fight separated the fan base. It really did. Even someone told me that even Brian Keselowski got into the argument because he saw what was going on. And he mentioned that, the aerodynamic problems were the reason no drivers could pass. And it totally divided the NASCAR community because you have people like me and David that believe that this racing is basically a death wish for NASCAR. And I believe that this kind of racing could really do damage to the sport, and it's definitely not good for NASCAR as a whole. And I think it's an aerodynamic problem and a driver problem. So I'm on more like David. And then you have fans like Eric who believe that it was totally on the drivers and that there's no aerodynamic issues at all, and fans should stop complaining. May I remind you that complaining is one of the reasons NASCAR has been making these changes since Brian France got his DUI. If we just stop complaining and ignore problems, the sport won't move forward. I'm just going to say that much.
Yes. We could try to get together and try to, resolve some of these issues and try to agree on everything. But, of course, no matter who changes what, everyone's going to be, someone's going to be mad and they're going to rage about it. Unfortunately, that's just how today's society is.
Like, I would have respected Eric's opinion, but I think, I don't want to, try to put all the blame on Eric since David, after all, was in this fight too. But I think Eric was the one who created the rupture, if you know what I mean. It would have been a constructive argument if Eric and David just talked it out. But because Eric blatantly insulted the type of person David was, I feel like that's what caused the rupture because people like me got pissed off at Eric. It's like, hey, man, that's a bit mature. You shouldn't really do that just because he brought up an opinion. So, and then, people started firing back at Eric saying, things like, oh, he's sucking NASCAR's dick. Sorry for being so, vulgar there. But, people were saying that. And to a degree, I think it's not good. Here's how I think. I think people need to be a little bit of both. I think people need to be a little bit more positive, but not to the point where you're thinking everything is okay.
I want to point out. Hey, can I point out something right here?
Yeah.
David Land actually put on a tweet here. He said, "Let's settle it." And he said, told Eric, feel free to retweet it. What's to blame for the crappy Speed Weeks racing? And it's a poll between the cars and package and the drivers. When I voted, it was literally 50-50.
It was 49-51 when I voted.
Yeah, it's now 49-51, but when I voted, it was 50-50.
Hold on, let me choose that.
And what I think is even a
find
bigger blow to the NASCAR community as a whole is the fact that David decided to quit the weekly podcast, because that's a big rupture. And I think if you ask me, the bigger YouTuber, probably Eric Estep, is getting a lot of flack from this, and probably deservingly so, since he probably started the big argument that wasn't needed. And a lot of people on Twitter got separated. It's been a whole mess. A lot of people gotten off Twitter. Twitter is definitely calmer now. Like, there's barely any tweets going out from YouTubers. And I don't see how this is good by any stance. I think NASCAR fans need to be more equal, if you ask me. I don't like negative fans that think everything is bad. I will say that is not healthy for the sport, and thinking everything is bad is probably not good. But at the same time, do you really want to be overly optimistic and think that everything is okay? Like, really, the playoff format, is that okay? The cars, is that okay? No, that's not. It's bad for the sport, and it proves the reason why we've got the boring racing that we did. Like, I feel like the negative fans have to look for more positive things, and the overly optimistic fans need to stop ignoring problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now here's, now I mean, like, yeah, I feel like it's not just going to be taking a small blow for the NASCAR community, because I mean, David Land, he does more of IndyCar stuff and whatever, so he kind of brings IndyCar's knowledge and sense into the NASCAR community, maybe just bringing racing community together, not just NASCAR specifically. But so, I mean, it kind of brought a lot of people together, because David Land had another sense of logic, and everyone's like, oh yeah, some of this does actually make sense, but also in a way, like, I do like the fact that now that Brian France is out or whatever with NASCAR at the time being, I do like that NASCAR did bring in what I mentioned last week with the disqualification and an inspection process post race now at the track, because that's what dirt racing does. So, I mean, I do feel like NASCAR is kind of not only listening to us, but they're reaching out to different aspects of racing too. But I mean, I kind of understand David Land's aspect of, save money, run single file, this and that, which is kind of what I said for the Clash and the duels. I mean, those are exhibition races. There's really nothing much on the line. I mean, the Clash is just a trophy, but I mean, in the duels, I mean, yeah, there's 10 points. There's 10 points, row 2 starting spot in the 500 and a trophy. But I mean, for the duels, you got to use that same freaking car for the 500. So, I mean, why would you try to risk everything for that small little race that doesn't have much meaning to it and go into a backup car for the 500? And then you're going to start all the way from the freaking back and figure out how you're going to get your way up to the front if you can survive. But, I mean, but I can see Eric's standpoint where, okay, fans want the closer racing and everyone fighting for each position. But I mean, for one, this is Daytona. I mean, everyone's going to be drafted and going to be so close together that if you one little wobble, I mean, the truck race proved it big time. One little wobble can lead into one big, huge wreck.
Yeah,
I mean,
like a 20-car wreck.
Exactly. I mean, look at Stuart Friesen. He was hauling freaking rear. I don't know how he was trying to pull that third line. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, yes,
he did a great job.
He
did. He was so aggressive last night, but he managed not to really cause any wrecks.
I mean, he slowed that truck down enough so that he only had side damage, and all they had to do was tape the sides up and the in the right front splitter, and he was good to go. He could race that sucker as if it was 100%. And up until the last wreck, he literally had like nowhere to go and nothing to do. So he just kind of
Yeah.
Kyle Larson 2018 Roval that sucker to get a 10th place position. But
I mean, he
mean,
didn't finish the race, and he still finished
He got a
10th.
top 10 in the garage.
For me, I'm going to be honest. Of course, I don't like single file racing and everything. I see both sides of the argument. Again, I'll say that. For me, literally, I, of course, see both sides of the argument. Fans want, more side-by-side racing and entertainingness. Drivers want to keep their cars in one piece. I want to say, about this, of course, we're talking about us. Probably none of us have been to the track. What about the fans who actually paid to go see that and literally just saw a single-file freight train for 2 hours? For
I would
me,
ask for a refund.
and literally, it's like, people pointing out that, it's not the driver's job to entertain you. It's, for me, it's like, well, they will be certainly entertaining if they know the track's going to shut down because no one's buying tickets because the races continually suck.
it's probably where Eric is saying his point of view from, because obviously he goes to the Texas races every year. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's probably saying it in that aspect. David Land, I don't really know. I mean, I follow him on Twitter, but here and there, and kind of, but I don't really, unfortunately, I don't subscribe to him. I don't know why I should, but because he brings up very good points for the racing aspect. And back to what I said again, he's got the IndyCar knowledge, so he's going to put IndyCar's 2 cents, not really their 2 cents, but kind of like what they do sort of into NASCAR and try to make some kind of logical sense out of it, which is what I like, because I mean, I'm more of me living in New York. I mean, the only NASCAR track we got is Watkins Glen, and it's kind of like a 2 to 3 hour drive from where I am. But I mean, I got a lot of dirt tracks in New York, so I mean, I kind of look at it as a dirt racing aspect a little bit, which is why when NASCAR brought out that new rule, I was all for it, because I mean, that's what I'm used to at the dirt tracks, because that's exactly what they do.
DQing drivers that are having illegal cars. Is that the rule?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
And they also said that they would be putting out a Gen 7 car in a couple years.
And hopefully it can put on better racing at mile and a half particularly.
You
Yeah.
agree to disagree with me here. I said Gen 7 could probably be the fate of NASCAR because, or at least determines where NASCAR is going to go in the future. If Gen 7 is good, I don't think NASCAR will ever go back to how it was in the 90s and 2000s, but I think we will see a noticeable increase if the racing on track is better and it's legitimate. If Gen 7 is bad, I think that could be NASCAR fans calling it quits once and for all, because we've dealt with so many gimmicks, so many stupid things with NASCAR since 2008. I think at that point, most NASCAR fans are going to call it quits. And soon, if the attendance numbers, the viewership goes low, big teams are not going to find any value in NASCAR. They could leave, and NASCAR could die.
I'm going to say, for in terms of cars, recently NASCAR's made some pretty good decisions, especially in the business model of things. DQing cars after an illegal win, more advertising dollars on networks other than Fox and NBC. Better gambling. Getting into the gambling thing, and more fantasy stuff and everything. The Gen 7 and everything. I'm going to bring up a point right here. The car tomorrow. You all remember that? You probably can.
Yep.
You could probably hear
Yeah, I remember that.
a visible groan when thinking of the car tomorrow, because that was an ugly looking car to begin with.
It kind of looked like a truck in a car version, kind of like an El Camino type of way if you looked at it at certain angles. Not going to lie. That was just my opinion.
You know why they brought that car in? Because they were trying to really get safety going ever since Dale Earnhardt's death. So
And it was one of the safest cars you could ever think of because of Michael Mattel's technical crash. But let me bring up the point here. Of course, in the beginning, the races with the car tomorrow were not that good. I'm talking 2008. 2007's races were golden with the car tomorrow.
Yeah.
But 2008 and 2009, the races were not that good.
The 2009 All-Star race was good.
But come 2011, 2012, they got that car figured out, and they put on boom, so many good races.
2011, they took off the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started watching In 2011, it was amazing.
And then
I watched
2013,
it.
when they brought the Gen 6 in, we had the single file 500.
Yeah.
That was not that good of a race.
Literally, as soon as the thing with the COT is, the car was an absolute turd. But once they did figure out the COT in 2011, the COT did produce good racing. It was insane. And I remember how the viewership did go up in 2011, 2012. But then, Brian France realized the racing was actually getting good, and they figured out the COT, and then he just thought of a way to fuck it up again, and he came up with the Gen 6.
Yep.
Yeah, literally. I want to point out, something. I don't know if it was David Land or someone pointing it out. Viewership thing for the 500. He said, someone said after the single file 500, here's the ratings drop. It went from 10 million viewers to around 4 in 2014.
I think the only reason 2013 grew so much was because of the new car, mainly, and they really promoted it that year. So
it was like, this is gonna be a new race, new time. The cars actually look like they're manufacturers, and this is gonna be great. Single file 500. So many bad races.
That's how bad it was. It dropped so much.
Really, the only race I can remember that was actually kind of good from 2013 was the Auto Club race.
That one was good.
2013 Auto Club race was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Danica Patrick on the pole for that 500 too. Let's not forget that.
2013 Auto Club was one of the best races I think I've watched, actually. Not because Denny Hamlin broke his back, but because one leader didn't dump the other. I like that. Like the 1979,
it's still racing.
The leaders were, beating and banging the whole time, and they ended up wrecking each other, and neither of them won. That's what NASCAR is. It's not dumping the leader on the backstretch and winning a race like a pussy. It's racing hard.
Roval.
Yeah.
If you don't know who I'm hinting at Austin Dillon.
Yeah, literally, I say they figured out the Gen 6, and they put on some pretty good races, especially last year. Except for the first half of the season, that kind of sucked. But Chicagoland.
They figured out the Gen 6 in 2014. 2014 Gen 6 was probably Gen 6's best year.
Then Brian France got scared.
Out how to run the Gen 6.
Yeah, then
Brian France
in the insurance companies.
Once the COC started producing good racing,
they changed it.
He found a way to fuck it up. It's called
tapered spacer. Because of the insurance companies, like, these guys are going so fast, they're going too fast. We don't want to have to pay, so just gonna slow those cars down. Yeah, literally slowing the cars down really did not reduce the chances for injury. Yeah.
So let's do some Daytona 500 picks.
First time winner, Daniel Suarez in the number 41 Ford.
Ooh.
Ryan Newman will win the Daytona 500.
I'm going with Blaney. He's gonna win.
I'm going with Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
I'm boo.
Oh, God.
I don't know. I'm kind of with slow motion. I would like to see Blaney win, but I don't know. I was just watching Lombard N2SC for our his prediction video, and he brings up a valid good point about Paul Menard. He has one career win, but he's had a fantastic speed weeks. I mean, he dominated the Clash. Unfortunately, he did not do well with that wreck or whatever that eventually ended the race, but he did pretty well during his duel too. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Menard was up in the front at the end and maybe making some moves to get a win. Yeah, I'm going to go with Paul Menard.
I saw on Twitter that both races this weekend had two drivers that had sponsorship and were paid drivers. So Paul Menard's going to win.
I'm going to go with I'm going with the trends here because truck race, a first time winner in a Toyota. Xfinity, a first time winner in a Chevy. I picked Suarez, first time winner in a Ford.
All right, well, I'm going to pull up my fantasy team and see how it looks.
I mean, my buddies and I, we have our own fantasy league. We don't even follow the NASCAR, and we kind of do our own thing. And my team is Johnson, Byron, Blaney, and Larson. But I mean, like I said, Paul Menard's a guy to watch. I hate to go against my team, but like I said, Paul Menard's been pretty good to watch. I don't think he's going to let anyone down. He'll put I think he can put on a show if he makes the right moves and strategy has been all week.
All right. Yeah, this is my fantasy. I got Blaney, Newman, Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and the garage is Chase Elliott. And then Joey Logano will win stage 1, Amarola will win stage 2, Newman wins the race.
I can't make a full prediction because it's choo-choo, but hey.
Let's make a prediction about the choo-choo. How quickly will the choo-choo be created in the 500?
As soon as
Lap
they
3.
start the race, because literally
Lap 3.
they jump to the top immediately, they'll do it again.
I think it may be too wide for I'd say first. I say 10 laps, and then it'll be single file from there.
Yeah, you might see something at the end of the stages.
Oh yeah, true. If you remember last year, everyone decided to go full blown 100% out on the end of stage 1 as if it was the end of the race.
Yeah.
And I remember Johnson's interview. I remember Johnson's interview for that. He goes, everyone took the wrong checker flag. It was the green and white checker flag, not the black and white.
Yeah.
I would be surprised tomorrow if they're running single file because those cars are already going to the junkyard as it is. So.
Yeah, literally.
If the whole race becomes a train, who would lead the most laps?
Probably Ford, most likely.
Menard.
I don't think the Fords are gonna struggle this year. I mean, they've already proved that they're picking up where they left off last year in a frickin' Fusion. I really don't think they're gonna struggle like Chevy did with the Camaro.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. Last year Chevy won the 500, then struggled. This year Ford seems fast in the 500. We don't know until we go to a real track like Atlanta.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. With this new package, you're gonna be seeing more drafting and stuff like that. So I kind of feel like Ford's not gonna struggle as much as we think, like Chevy did with Camaro last year. I really don't think so. And besides, if you think about it, a lot of the Ford drivers were in the Xfinity series where the Xfinity series had the Ford. So I kind of think that whoever drove in the Xfinity series with the Mustang, they are bringing knowledge from that and putting it into the Cup series now and putting it into a Cup car instead of an Xfinity car. I mean, yeah, they're two different cars, but still the point being.
So yeah, literally.
Yeah,
I predicted the Derby at Flippin' Speed Weeks. I think I'm gonna be wrong in that prediction.
I was talking to one of my friends who doesn't really watch NASCAR. I showed him the wreck from the Clash, and he said, "Are those Xfinity cars?" Because he saw the Mustang, and I was like, "No, they're the actual Cup cars." And he's like, "Are those the Xfinity drivers?" And I was like, "No, those are Cup drivers."
They drive like Xfinity drivers.
Yeah, they are.
Can I just point something out? Last week I picked Paul Menard to win the Clash. Look what happened at the end of that race.
Hey,
last year I picked Eric Almirola to win Daytona 500.
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here, but I really don't think this 500 is going to be good. Based off of what we've seen all speed weeks.
I really hope the 500 day it's gonna be pretty hot that day. So hopefully the track, nice and slick. Hopefully they can make moves, but with how horrible the aero package is and how horrible the Clash and Duels went,
we're gonna find out how good. We're gonna find out how good the Daytona 500 is in the first 10 laps. If they all end up going into a line, it's gonna be horrible.
I mean
yes,
wreck or something.
Yes, all
in that first 10 laps.
I mean, yes, all speed weeks, it was all single file on the choo-choo train, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I keep on saying that, it's only the duels in the Clash. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot on the line. It's not like it's the 500 or or a big old championship race. Not a lot's on the line. So, I mean, plus with the duels, they're using the same exact freaking car for the 500. So they're not going to go full on out because if they freaking destroy that car, they're going to a backup car and start way in the back. So why would you risk it all for one, I guess you could say kind of exhibition for the duels, but why would you risk it all for what? basically kind of nothing. So
anything else to talk about?
I think we're good.
I want to say
Guys,
the Speed Weeks as a whole, it just felt dull to me. The ARCA race had an anticlimactic end with the horrible ARCA restart overtime rules. The clash was single file freight train choo-choo until Johnson wrecked the field. The duels were single file freight train until they made last lap passes. The truck race was
Friesen hit me in the feels every which way possible.
And the Xfinity race was stressful for me because I'm like, I want a net win to get revenge for getting injured 6 years ago, and like I was wondering, does he have the experience to block to win? He almost got himself turned, I think, on the last lap too. For the 500, I'm hopeful it's at least decent. If they go choo-choo after 3 laps, I'm losing hope and staying off Twitter for the day. For me, I'd rather. I know I'm probably not that quote real of a fan for wishing for Rex, but I'm hoping for a 2017 Fall Talladega.
Just hope for the truck race to happen all over again.
No, I don't want big Rex. I think that's. I just want good racing, similar to the 2016 Daytona 500.
The 2016 500 actually really wasn't that great. We're talking more about the 2015 500. It had better racing, but a shittier end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there wasn't big Rex. I don't like big Rex. I just. I don't really want to.
We can never have a perfect plate race. No plate race is perfect at all.
No race is going to be perfect, honestly. Yeah, I mean, last year kind of proved it. Everyone wanted the racing, but Harvick was freaking blowing by everyone in Atlanta like it was no tomorrow.
Yeah, if this Atlanta race becomes a Harvick show again, I guarantee they're going to be repaving that thing.
I don't think it will with this new package. I mean, yeah, he might be in the front, but it's going to be a lot closer. He won't be like freaking 10, 15 seconds ahead and lapping pretty much the whole entire field, but maybe the top 10 cars.
I mean, the way I see it, since how much Atlanta chews up tires, we'll see guys getting runs because it's a drafting sort of package, but their tires will be so destroyed they won't be able to make a move at all, and they'll just hit the guy they're running at. And that can cause a wreck. I mean,
all right, you guys got anything else?
I'm good.
I think I'm good.
I think I'm good as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and close things out. Let's start with TNT Motorsports. Go ahead and give your little outro.
All right. So, again, I'm TNT Motorsports Network. You can follow me on Twitter at ManianDevil56. I'm usually pretty active there. Like I said, I tried to incorporate a lot of dirt racing aspects into NASCAR. I mean, yeah, they're two different things, but still.
At least you're not comparing it to the NFL, so it's good.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do plan on maybe this summer for my channel, so that's not just like NR 2003 of my dirt series, dirt tour, whatever the hell you want to call it. But I do plan on maybe doing a couple vlogs. I know I am working with Chemo Cup series with his series, the Inside Lane, covering Fonda Speedway and stuff like that. Because I know him and I have talked back and forth going through that. I might do some vlogs like when Fonda Speedway does their meet and greet. I might do a little vlog with getting in with Stuart Friesen if he's there.
Get Stuart Friesen on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. Don't worry about that. And I will also I do plan on doing a vlog towards of when Fonda Speedway does their legendary Fonda 200, which used to be a NASCAR sanctioned race, and a lot of the NASCAR legends like the Allisons, the Pettys, all race there. So it should be a good one. And yeah, that's that.
I'm just adding.
I guess I'll go next. Boy, this was actually really fun to be on. If you don't know me, I'm Orca Flop. Literally, it's the profile pic. It's literally the channel is called Orca Flop. The link should be in the description. You can find me on Twitter as well, at Kyle Trusty2. And then, Orca Flop's my main YouTube channel. So you can subscribe to that channel if you want to see daily motorsports content and race reviews and stuff like that. Boy, you guys are really good race fans. It's cool to talk to you guys. This is the first time me being on the podcast. I love it, and I'm going to be on another time for sure because this is really fun to do and talk to you guys about NASCAR and motorsports a little bit as a whole. So it's cool to be on here. Thank you all for watching. This is awesome.
I guess I'll go slow motion. You can find me everywhere. But wait, am I allowed to say who is going to be on next week?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right, we're gonna have Jake Baskinger on here, like, cause he's from Atlanta. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. I have one thing that I want to say in my outro. Ryan Newman will win the Daytona 500.
Good luck with that one.
All right.
Interesting.
All right. By the way, I added their Twitters in the description below. As usual, I am Green Flag Studios. Hosting this one this week. I think it's Orca's turn to host next week if he's available. Anyway, I co-own, commentate, and upload the Fairlight Cup Series on my channel here. Upload a few other things down the road. Since Season 1 of the Fairlight Sportsman Series and Season 6 of the Fairlight Cup Series, they're going to be starting within the next month or so. That depends on how quickly we can get all the schemes painted and everything. Just be on the lookout for that. And I'm going to say, yeah, definitely this episode was definitely an improvement, and I enjoyed it much better than last week's, being honest.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I had no issues this time around, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I have a better mic.
That's right there. All right. Oh, also, I'm gonna copy the worst commercial of the broadcast today. That smartphone commercial. Hi, bye.
Oh, that one.
Oh my god, no, please.
Okay, by far the worst commercial is the Pizza Hut one with the two girls. That one is annoying.
That was cringy. Now I'm ashamed to have cricket.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we will see you next week, most likely at the same time, same place, same people. See you later, everybody.
Okay.
I messed that up so bad. You did not hear that. I will see you all next week on whoever's hosting this channel. My hand hurts so much. Whoever's hosting the next episode.
Am I hosting it, or is someone? I don't even know.
I think Orca's turn is next, if he can host it. Otherwise,
I don't know, man. My laptop is literally garbage.
Then,
Yeah.
then as always, I guess Prime will host it. My hand hurts so bad. But yeah, very fun. See you next time, guys. Signing off.